Hello, hello. Welcome back. I am getting vulnerable in this episode. I am going to take you through a deeply personal process that I'm going through yet again, a process I've gone through many times before. And each time I do, I experience a quantum leap. And I'm experiencing one now. And maybe you are at a place in your life where it's time, and you know it, to let go. Let go of that which no longer serves you so you can experience your next level, your next evolution, your next quantum leap. And if you know that there is a new version of you just waiting to come forward, a new version of you that feels more powerful, more abundant, more deeply aligned, then don't ignore that pull. As you're listening to today's episode, and if it resonates, just know that the process that I'm going through right now and that I describe here is a deep dive in your mindset. And it's also one that I'm doing next week. So if you're listening to this in early May, on May 6th, 7, and 8, I'm doing our Mindset Deep Dive 3-day event online on Zoom. It is a powerful catalyst for transformation. And this is an opportunity. If what we talk about in this episode resonates with you, I invite you. It's not too late. Come to the Mindset Deep Dive. Go to boldheart.com/mindset. I've also linked it in the show notes. And join me for 3 sacred days together, clearing what's no longer serving you so you can finally rise into who you were always meant to be and what you were always meant to do in your impact, to experience in your income, and to become the woman that you were always meant to be. So there are still some tickets. We're just days away. It happens Tuesday, May 6th through Thursday, May 8th. You can still get a ticket at boldheart.com/mindset. I can't wait to see who you become. Enjoy this episode. Hello, dear friend, beautiful soul. Welcome back to the show. I am going to get vulnerable with you today about my process, my transformation, something that I'm going through in hopes that it can help you if you're looking for a transformation in your own business, your level of impact, your finances, your relationships, the quality of your life. And as you may hear in my voice, it's a little raspy. I have a cold and allergies at the same time. And while some people will say, oh, Fabienne, it's the pollen outside or whatever, I know that it is me processing and letting go of the old version of me, an old identity, an old way of being, and welcoming in a new version of Fabienne 2.0, if you will. And I say this because I have been in the south of France doing some deep personal work. I don't know how much to share with you, but being on divine feminine lands and doing sacred work with a group of transformational leaders that I'm close friends with. And on these sacred lands, I have made an even deeper commitment of letting go of a way of being small or a way of being, I don't know how to explain this to you. It's just letting go of the old and making way for the new version of Fabienne here in service of you, in service of the feminine, in service of women making their own money and lots of it, of being the fullest expression of who they really are and getting you to that next level. And in transforming, I am processing. And in letting go, all the old stuff is coming up, not to overshare. And I want to talk today about the truth of transformation, that it often requires release. And so today we're talking about what it really takes to become the woman that you say you want to be, that powerful business owner, that abundant woman that has the life where she feels like she has it all. and why it starts with letting go of who you no longer are. And while I was going to do another podcast episode entirely, the divine just kept telling me, you have to do this one, even though I'm in the middle of it. So if you can hear it from my nose, I may cough, I may sneeze. We'll probably edit those out, but I really want to dive deep with you as I feel called to share my process with you. So I want to start with the discomfort of growth, and that growth feels messy because it asks you to release safety and familiarity. Growth can sometimes feel like resistance, or it can feel like a bunch of breakdowns. I was talking on a community call, Q&A call with the members of Bold Heart this week. And a few of them, while they're doing great in their business, they're in the top 5% of women in business around the world looking to grow to 1%. A few of them are experiencing a certain level of disconnectedness and something just not feeling right. And yet they say that they've been holding on to an old way of being because of safety, but it just feels empty. And what I was explaining with them, because I'm in the process of shedding right now to step into my new version of aligned leadership for you, for all of the women that I am called to serve in the world and help move into their next vision and version of themselves, is that the old patterns are probably no longer serving you. But because they feel safe, and we tend to want to hold on to what feels familiar and safe, we're stuck in this limbo, right? And maybe you're experiencing this too. And not just a limbo of doing what you used to do because that's what used to work, even though it no longer works now, but also an identity. And maybe that identity for you is that you are the reliable one, or the perfectionist, or the hyper independent one, or the survivor, or the overdoer, or the overgiver, or the people pleaser, or, insert whatever it is, the control enthusiast. And what I have experienced several times in my career and in my personal growth is that in stepping into the new level of who you are, there are going to be contractions. If you've had a baby, I've had 3, you know that you don't go from being pregnant to having a baby without some sort of discomfort. And those contractions are the discomfort of growth. So you may be feeling that contraction right now, feeling like, oh my God, I'm not feeling comfortable. I don't like where I am right now. I don't like who I'm being right now. I want to let go of being the people pleaser, let go of being the perfectionist, let go of being the control enthusiast, but I'm not yet stepping into the new version. And so what I want to share with you that I'm working on right now, listen, I'm always happy to be in the trenches with you, and maybe I'm a few steps ahead of you, but I'm always looking to become the next evolution of who I am, because that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy really seeing what is meant for me. And I know I am meant for more. And if you're here, you're probably meant for more too, which is why you keep showing up here. And I love you for showing up here. What is required is a space and being inquisitive and exploration while it feels that letting go is threatening, because we are taught to hold on to what feels familiar. And one of the things that I heard Marissa Peer say some time ago is that part of growth is making the unfamiliar feel familiar, and at the same time, making the familiar feel unfamiliar. I really want you to sit with that, because what feels familiar now is what we must make feel unfamiliar. So that way of being, or that way of showing up only in your safety zone, you may have heard that staying in your comfort zone keeps you stuck because the magic happens outside of your comfort zone. This is what I experience myself each time I take a quantum leap, is that it always happens outside of my comfort zone. And so it requires this discomfort. If you want that next big level of your income, your impact, your business, your relationships, your abundance, you're going to have to let go of what feels comfortable and get into that place of discomfort. And so, excuse my nose. Oh my God. It's going to require that you get yourself out of the safety zone. And we're going to talk about making this feel safe in just a few moments. But, well, let me just say this. I want you to reflect upon the following. Where are you shrinking in order to stay in something that feels familiar? Where are you shrinking in order to stay in something that feels familiar? That next big version of you or your impact or your abundance is going to require that you let go of what feels familiar and move towards what feels unfamiliar. Okay? This is what I've experienced again and again, whether it was taking my business from 285,000 to more than 1 million in less than a year, or moving across the world from the US to Paris, or just any of the things that I have dreamed of creating in my life. It has meant letting go of comfort for a short period of time. So, where are you holding on too tightly to what feels familiar? The next thing I want to talk about with you, and I just want to drop into this moment of gratitude for you. Few people are willing to have these conversations with themselves, with each other, and I just really honor you for being here and for contemplating letting go of the old, so you can step into the version of you that's 2.0 or 3.0, 4.0, 4.0 if you're anything like me. So let's talk now about what you're being called into. There are signs that will point to the fact that you're ready to evolve. Okay? So if you are feeling drained, if you are feeling disconnected, if you are craving more freedom, more abundance, more ease, more creativity, more fulfillment, more expansion, more authenticity, more love. If you are dreaming of a new version of yourself or your business, this is a sign that you are ready to evolve. People who are not ready to evolve are completely happy, complacent, okay with what is. And I see these feelings of being drained or frustrated or overwhelmed or disconnected or like something's off as a sign that it's time for the next level. It's almost as if all these feelings that you have are the breakdown before the big breakthrough. This is what I teach in my mindset deep dives, that any breakdown that you're experiencing is simply the gateway to your next breakthrough, to your next evolution. And the truth, my dear friend, is that you cannot receive new results with an old identity. The new big quantum leap, the new big results or way of being or impact that you seek will not show up with the current identity, the current version of you. And so expansion requires alignment with who you are becoming. I'm just going to say that again. Your expansion into whatever your 2.0 is going to require that you get in alignment with the version of you that you would like to become. So we're going to create a new identity for you, a new embodiment of that which you seek. That woman that you want to become has to be aligned. There is no bridging the gap between where you are now and where you want to be unless you go into alignment. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. And this is what I'm doing with all of our ladies who choose to work with me. A visualization I'd like for you to embark upon is asking yourself, who is the next level you? What does she look like? How does she lead? What does she think? What does she no longer tolerate? What does she let go of? And what does she embrace going forward? And what would it be like? What would it feel like to be her already? That's what I'd like for you to visualize and step into. Because when you can get clear on what version 2.0 of you looks like, you can then embody her. Now that you are getting clear about what she looks like, that new version of you, we need to get clear of what must be let go of. And let go of maybe the good girl persona, your hyper independence, the perfectionism that gets in the way of you putting stuff out there, the deep need to be liked or accepted, the need to form or shape shift to feel like you belong, the need for control or over responsibility or over functioning or saying yes to everything, especially when it doesn't serve you. All of those things were survival mechanisms based on what you needed to overcome from your childhood. But now they've become limitations. They've become roadblocks on the road to where you want to be, that next version of you, that abundant, expansive, impactful woman in the world. And I want to share that there can be grief in letting go of this. And that grief is sacred. And when I was in the south of France this past week, I was in a church that is a powerful church. And while I'm not a religious person, as you know, I'm deeply spiritual. I walked in and I knew that I was here in that particular cathedral, actually, to let go of the old. All of a sudden, I started crying, not a loud cry, just a silent but powerful weeping. And I just allowed myself to sit there. And for maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, I lost track of time. I sobbed. I sobbed quietly. And I didn't know what I was processing, but I was letting go of the old and I gave it space. I allowed it to be a divine letting go of the old because I know that I can't accept what that new version of Fabienne is going to be unless I empty my hands of the old. And so I was like, oh, okay, I've let that go. And I stayed in the cathedral a little bit longer. And about 15 minutes later, it started again. I sobbed for another 5 or 10 minutes. And a couple of my friends just held space for me and put their hand on my shoulder. And I just sobbed again. I don't know what it was. Oh, the tears are coming back up. But it was this willingness to let go so I can grow. And it happened a few times over the course of the week in these caves that I visited and just making room for the new. If you've ever heard the saying, nature abhors a vacuum, it really means that that next version of what you want is waiting for you to empty out that which no longer serves you. And if you follow astrology, I'm not very well versed in astrology, but I have friends who are, and they shared with me that 2025 is the year of the wooden snake. You can look it up if it calls to you. But the year of the wooden snake, 2025 being the year where you let go of that which no longer serves you, so you can make room for the new you, for the new things that are looking to show up in your life. So you can usher in all of that you seek that abundance, that impact, that new version of yourself. So the thing that I want to share with you is, again, there may be grief in letting go, but if you feel like crying, don't worry. Just see it like what a cold is. It's like a processing, it's a detoxing, it's a letting go of something, and embrace the process. Embrace the process of letting go. It is sacred. It means that you are evolving and emptying so that you can allow new abundance to come in. And so if you'd like, I want to give this to you to think about is, what am I afraid will happen if I stop acting or being how I've always been? And let it go. Allow yourself to not be afraid and just empty it out. And that's when we look into stepping into the new. And I'm working on a process myself. I've done this process before. I've led women through this process, thousands of women, when I do the mindset deep dive with them. And the first step is identity work, is really looking into who is that version 2.0? What is the identity and the self-image of who you are becoming? And writing it down. I am the kind of woman who, or the new version of me is, and really declaring the new identity and becoming her through your daily choices. It is about aligning action with your identity. One of the things that, if you ever choose to work with me, you'll hear me say again and again, is that identity drives behavior. If you identify with the identity of becoming a victor or a victorious, you will always rise above any challenge. If you identify with the identity of being really abundant, you will always have opportunities to be really abundant. And so you get to decide what your identity is. And from that identity, from that self-image, your actions create new results. The second piece to this process is to create space, and create space for that new version of you to show up. And that means that if you're too busy or you're too obligated to others, you won't have space for that new version of you to show up. So set one new boundary. Say no to something that drains you or doesn't serve you. Cancel what's not aligned. Get out of obligations that you didn't want to be in the first place. Create space for that new version of yourself to show up. The next step is to regulate your nervous system. If you are feeling resistance, if you are feeling discomfort in your growth, understand that that is part of the process. It is that breakdown before the breakthrough. And you can feel less resistance and you can feel safer in your body as you embody this new version of yourself by using breath work or EFT, tapping, hypnosis, EMDR, vagus nerve resets, somatic work, shaking it out, dancing, journaling, taking a nap. All of these things work along with many other tools to feel safe as you're making the transition into this quantum leap version of yourself. This is the work I do with our members, because it's not just about the strategy of charging more or showing up more on social media. Your body needs to feel safe doing it. And when you regulate your nervous system, you naturally take the actions you wouldn't have taken before. Then I want to invite you to build muscle memory through small steps. So muscle memory. If you are clear about who that new version of yourself is, that identity, who she is and how she shows up and how she leads and how she acts and how she markets and how she charges, the way to become that person is through small steps. And as you take each micro step, you build that muscle, you build that neural pathway. And the way you do that is to raise your rates slightly, for example. For you, it might be raising your rates 10%. And that might still feel too big. So raise your rates by 1%. Show up visibly without over-preparing. Try taking imperfect action. Try just something you haven't done, but in a micro step, so you feel comfortable doing it again and again and again. And that will lead you to that next version of who you are. And then rehearse receiving. Say yes to the help that shows up. Let others support you. Allow yourself to be mentored. Allow yourself to say yes to a team member who wants to take stuff off your plate. You can absolutely accept the abundance that comes with receiving. The more you practice this, the more you will become that next version of yourself. This is all about letting go of the old way so you can grow. And finally, choose courage. You don't need to feel 100% ready to step into that new version of yourself. You can just be bold anyway. Just take those micro steps. Say yes to the next right step. Get help, get support, get mentorship, get into a community of other women who are doing it. Choose the path of faith and courage. Faith meaning taking the next step, even though you don't know what the entire staircase looks like. Say to yourself, my future self is worth becoming uncomfortable for. What happens when you let go of the old so that you can grow? In my experience, each time that I've done this, you create space for new, more aligned opportunities. That's when you begin attracting better people, better clients, better ideas, more divine downloads, more direction. You stop pushing. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You stop feeling frustrated, and you start magnetizing, because all that you seek is seeking you back. And when you let go, you allow it to come into your life. It's when you start feeling more peace and more clarity and more power. This is incredible work. And it doesn't have to feel like a lot of work if you're not alone. This is work best done in community, which is why I'm doing it in community. And that's when you finally embody the version of you you've always envisioned. Remember, you cannot hold your expansion while clinging to your contraction. So it's time to let go to grow. Ask yourself, what version of me am I still holding on to that no longer fits? And then make one small decision in favor of who you're becoming. Get your nervous system on board with that shift and be willing to let go and transform with courage and in community. If you want support in this, I am always here for you. You do not need to do this alone. Not just for the strategy to scale, although I'm really good at strategy, but for the deep mindset work that sets you free. Here's to you becoming magnetic and empowered and expanded. Let's do it together. I'm here for you. I'm sending you so much love.